There's a dull kind of pain that lingers in the background. It's the feeling that your life is running behind schedule. You look around, and the people you grew up with have figured something out. They found a career that fits, a direction, a version of themselves that already knows what it is. And you're just still figuring it out, still not sure, carrying this quiet suspicion that maybe something is wrong with you, even though you can't quite name what. I want to tell you why that feeling might be one of the clearest signs of the kind of person you are. Carl Jung believed that certain people are not built to find themselves early. And he didn't mean that in a soft, encouraging way. He meant it clinically.
Some people's minds are wired so that the process of becoming who they really are takes longer.
It is harder in the early years and looks from the outside almost identical to failure. What? That makes no sense. Why is it so difficult? Most people build an identity pretty fast. They watch the people around them and figure out what gets approval, and shape themselves around that. Jung had a word for the version of yourself you build for the outside world. He called it the persona. Think of it like a mask, but one you wear so long you forget it's there.
For a lot of people, that mask fits well enough. They move through their 20s with momentum. They accumulate things that look like a life, and it works. What doesn't make it into the popular version of Jung's ideas is what he also noticed. The people who build themselves fastest on the outside often hit a wall in midlife that they genuinely didn't see coming. The life they built was real. They just never checked whether it was actually theirs. Jung wrote about a type of person whose inner world runs loud, not in a poetic sense, in a very literal one. While most people process life by moving through it, this type of person processes it by sitting with it, turning it over, asking what it means before deciding what to do about it. And in your 20s, when the whole world is basically asking you to just pick a direction and go, that tendency makes everything harder. The friction isn't that these people are rebellious or lost. It's that they can feel when something doesn't fit in a way that most people can push through. You almost commit to something, a career, a relationship, a version of yourself, and something inside you quietly refuses. You can't explain it, you might not even trust it. But the resistance is there, and it doesn't go away just because it's inconvenient. So you hesitate, you try things and stop them. You end up looking from the outside like someone who just can't get it together. Jung called the process of actually becoming yourself individuation. And his view was that for some people, the real work of that process happens underground, during the exact years that look like stagnation to everyone else. The mind is doing something that can't be rushed. Push it too hard, and you don't get speed. You get a version of yourself that breaks later. A 2025 study by Gignac looked at 16 different psychological traits across people's entire adult lives. Things like emotional intelligence, judgment, moral reasoning, how well people resist making bad decisions under pressure. Their finding was striking. Your raw mental speed, yes, peaks in your 20s. But your overall ability to actually function well in the world, to make good calls, read people accurately, handle complexity without falling apart, that peaks somewhere between 55 and 60. Think about what that means. At 30, you are genuinely not yet the person you're going to be. At 40, still developing. The fully capable version of you hasn't shown up yet. Jung said something almost identical decades earlier, without the data to back it up. He wrote that we cannot live the afternoon of life according to the program of life's morning. He meant that the person you are in your 20s and the person you need to be in your 40s are not the same person. And treating the first half of life as the blueprints for all of it is how people end up with a life that looks fine from the outside, but feels completely hollow on the inside. There's another thing about this type of person, and this one's a bit harder to say without it sounding arrogant. They tend to see through things that other people need to believe. They pick up on the gap between what someone is saying and what they actually mean. They notice when everyone around them is excited about something that underneath feels kind of empty. They can't really turn this off. Jung described this as a burden of consciousness. More awareness doesn't just make life richer, it makes certain kinds of participation harder. How do you get genuinely excited about a goal you can already see the hollowness of? How do you perform the confidence and certainty everyone seems to expect? So you pull back, sometimes physically, sometimes just internally. The line between pulling away from something false and genuinely struggling isn't always clear. And it's worth saying that plainly rather than romanticizing it. Around this same period, the loneliness tends to get loud, and it has a strange quality to it. You can be in a room full of people and feel like none of it is quite reaching you. The conversations feel like they're on a frequency you can hear, but can't quite tune into.